Okay, so obviously normally I film in the daytime, you know, I have natural lighting and everything is more put together, but for this video, like, I just felt like I had to be more me. Like, it is 10 to 7 on a Monday and this is me. I didn't want to get out of bed today, and no, not because I'm your average lazy teenager. Today we are going to be talking about mental illnesses and kind of what it's like to have general anxiety, social anxiety, panic disorder and depression. If anyone was to ask me, I would say that I've had it for 6 years, but when I went to my therapist she said that I've pretty much had the anxiety my whole life and it's just kind of progressively got worse. Probably the worst thing was high school and having that sort of constant pressure coming from everywhere, like pressure to look good, pressure to fit in, to, you know, I went through all of the different phases, having like, you know, fucking bun on the top of my head, loads of makeup on, emo phase, you name it. I tried everything to try and fit in, and it wasn't so that I could be popular. It was because I didn't want to be noticed. I wanted to just fit in with everyone else and hope that that meant that people would just not give me another look. In the end, the whole pressure of school with, you know, exams, all that malarkey, just all was too much for me to cope with at that point, with what was going on in my head at that time. So I ended up leaving school after my last exam in year 12, which was a really difficult thing to do, but I don't feel like it was a choice in the end. I feel like it was something I had to do. Like, it wasn't that, you know, I wanted to leave school, it was that I had to. Like, you know, I love learning. Give me anything to like learn or any type of thing that will challenge my brain. You know, I love it. I thrive off it. But any school environment, the thought of that type of thing, just no. It's not for me. Obviously, leaving school was a massive decision and I did have to deal with a lot of, you know, friends or family, not like very close family because they all understood, but just a lot of people sort of questioning it and saying, you know, you're not gonna, a lot of people just saying, you know, you're not gonna do well in life if, you know, you haven't got your A-levels, if you don't go to university, and basically just saying that I was making a wrong decision and that it wasn't something I should have done, and the main priority should have been my results rather than my mental health, which was difficult obviously, but at the end of the day I'd already made my decision. I'd spoke to my parents, you know, and just my really close family, and you know, they'd all agreed that at the end of the day I am more important than my grades. So I left school and finally, you know, after months of searching for jobs and breaking down when it got to it because I was too scared, I finally went for a apprenticeship in a hairdresser's, which, you know, was great. It was, you know, something I enjoy, hair and makeup, I do enjoy that kind of thing. But again, you then have people saying to you, like, do you not want to do more with your life? Would you not want to go to university? You know, you're very bright, you're very academic, you've never had any bad results, like, why are you doing something like this? Like, everyone was instantly sort of judging and saying, you know, I shouldn't have done it and I should have done something better and achieved better, basically. But, you know, at the end of the day, it was my decision. After a while, well, from when I first started, college was not what I liked. I only had to do it one day a week and then I'd work the other, however many hours. But I would spend like the entire Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever, I would spend my whole time worrying about college and get myself so worked up that I despised it. It was horrific. The thought of it even now, no. And then in the end, I thought that leaving school, everything would get better, and, you know, it did in a sense. but not that much. And when I started with work in college, it just got even worse. So in the end, I quit college. Luckily, I did carry on working there part-time, so I didn't have to move or find another job, which was great because I was terrified of having to, again, meet new people. But basically, I then made this decision to start seeing a therapist. Well, I went to the doctor. We figured out everything was stress induced, and it then gave me stress induced asthma and a lot of costochondritis, which is basically very intense chest pains that there really is no cure for. So let's just imagine having chest pains anyway because of anxiety, chest pains because of asthma, chest pains because of costochondritis, and not knowing what it is was just kind of, everything was just overwhelming. Having all that going on at once, you don't know whether you're having a panic attack, an asthma attack, chest pains, but obviously having the anxiety, you're constantly thinking, what if it's this, what if it's this, what if it's this, and all of the what ifs rush through your mind far too fast for you to actually pinpoint what you're ever thinking. So as much as people say, oh, like, what's going through your mind, it's like, I can't tell you, like, I don't know. But everything is happening so fast, you can either go from, like, needing just silence and not wanting anyone to touch you, and even the thought of someone just even placing their hand on your knee or something like that is too much. You can either be in that respect, or you can just need someone just to hold you and just to sort of finally feel some stability. And like, even though you don't have control, like, you feel like you're safe. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just need someone just to hold you and just sort of keep you sane. Sorry. I feel like I should sort of break down what a panic attack feels like for anyone who doesn't know what they're like or feels like they could be having them. So for me anyway, it does start with all the pains in my chest. I should probably take off one layer at least. And yes, I am in a Care Bear onesie. It starts with pains kind of in your ribs around the bottom and the back, and then right down your sternum, and sometimes over the top here as well. And it all literally does feel like someone is like pushing on your chest or is like tightening your chest muscles. Obviously, if we do have costochondritis or anything, it is the inflammation of those muscles, so it can be a little bit difficult to know whether it's just pain or whether you are going to have like any sort of panic attack. But I get that, I like, my hands especially will get really shaky. I obviously will then get heightened breathing and just very heavy and sort of out of breath. Sometimes, probably most times to be honest, I will just look like I've completely zoned out, because you're so involved with what is going on in your head and in your body that you aren't aware of anything else that's going on. Does that make sense? Like, although I know what's going on, I feel like everything is going too fast for my brain to keep up with, and I just can't figure out what is going on, like even just sort of where I am, anything sort of like someone can literally be saying to me like, are you okay, are you okay? But I'm so involved in myself and in my head that it just doesn't make sense. Like, I know that someone, I think it was on a TV show or something, had rung an ambulance because they thought they were having a heart attack when it was actually their first panic attack. So, although people may think that you're being over dramatic or attention seeking, like, it's some tough shit. Like, it hurts and it is scary to think that you are literally going to die. Like, I'm not even joking, that's what it genuinely feels like. You are gonna die. Like, there is no oxygen in the world that you can actually breathe in. It is scary, like, but your blood pressure goes up that high that you definitely cannot faint. You won't pass out no matter how much you feel like you're going to, and you are going to calm down eventually. You just kind of have to do whatever you need to do, whether you need everyone to leave or whether you just need to be held or just be taken out of whatever situation. Just do what you need to do, because at the end of the day, you're the most important person in your own life. Like, if you were to ask someone who had, either anxiety or depression, like, what are you feeling? Like, just as a blanket statement. Sometimes we don't know. Well, most of the time we don't know. Like, you can feel everything, but nothing. Like, you feel that much that it is literally paralyzingly numb. There is literally nothing left to feel, and you just there. Like, you know that there is so much going on in your head, and there's just everything is just too much that I think you just sort of switch off and just go into a trance. Like, I don't know how to say it. I think a lot of the time people don't take mental illnesses seriously, or if they do, they just kind of think, oh, she's just being dramatic, she's just attention seeking. But it's a very serious thing. Like, for instance, I don't even know if you can read that, but it says my book of feelings, and I use this to kind of vent before I ever went to anyone. This was Monday the 28th of October at 1 minute to 8 in 2013, and all I wrote was, so last night I found out that I have 18 out of 23 symptoms of anxiety. I mean, it was explaining a lot, but it's really getting in the way of things. Like, that was all I could think about at 1 minute to 8 in the morning. Friday the 1st of November, 8:01 a.m. It's happening again. These little bursts of fear and being nervous are happening way too often. They started about 3 weeks ago, now that I think about it. Oh, and now my hands are shaking. Great. Same day at 23:02 p.m. Swear everything is just a trigger. I feel like utter shit. Tuesday the 3rd of March, 22:01 p.m. 2015. It's been a while. I still fucking hate myself. I want to die. I really want to cut right now. Monday the 29th of June 2015. I hate myself for getting pissed off, for crying all the time, for not being able to answer people, for not being able to live a normal life, and for fucking writing in a blue pen. I hate myself. I hate being in this constant battle. I am scared of everything. I hate being dependent, and I hate being mentally ill. I hate being me. It's like, when you are actually happy, you can't just relax and be happy. Like, everything has to be questioned. Like, you're just sort of waiting for something bad to happen. Like, everything is going too well. You know, what's gonna happen? Am I gonna relapse? Am I gonna have a massive panic attack? Am I gonna do this, do that? Even just little things like going to the shop by yourself, constantly thinking like, oh, what if I embarrass myself? What if I fall over in front of someone? Like, I swear to God, those self-serve little tills are my favourite things invented, because I don't have to speak anyone, and I don't have to rehearse what I'm going to say like 26 million times in my head. I don't have to start sweating and getting nervous and count my change out like 200 times just to make sure that it's absolutely perfect before actually being like, you know what, yeah, I am going to pay for this. Like, I don't have to worry about anything that little, like, and especially on a bad day, because anything can set you off. Like, sometimes you'll wake up and you'll be fine. Sometimes you'll wake up, you'll go to make your breakfast, spill a bit of milk, and it's the end of the world. Like, World War III has broke out, and it's the worst thing you could have done, and no one can talk you out of it at all. Like, you literally will cry over spilt milk. At the same time, though, it's like, you don't want to tell anyone about it, because it's like, you don't want people to think you're a fucking psycho. You don't want people to think, oh God, she's a bit fucking weird, like, she just cried because she's like dropped something, what the fuck. Like, as much as you want to be honest and you want to tell people, it's just that constant fear of people judging you that makes it worse. And it's like, you know that it's not normal. Like, anyone who's got any type of mental illness knows that it's not normal, knows that it's not how most people think and how most people have to go about their lives, but it's like, you just have to accept it. Like, I've been told that no matter what I do, you know, things are going to get better. I'm on medication, I've finished my therapy, but no matter what I do, I will always have mental illnesses, and that's just something I've got to accept. There's nothing really that I can do about it now other than get help when I need it, instead of just sitting in my room crying alone and eating a whole tub of ice cream. Like, probably the best thing that you can do for yourself is to get help. Like, I spent 5 years not getting help, and everything was just spiraled out of control. Like, to the point where my mum used to say to me that I wasn't allowed to just sit in my room and cry. She was like, no, if you're gonna cry, come downstairs and cry, like, it's fine. This one time I watched Wild Child and somehow burst into tears. Like, it's not like it's a sad film, but you know, sometimes you have to let it all out. You don't know what it is, you don't know what's going on subconsciously in your mind, but you just gotta get everything out. Don't be scared to turn around to someone and say, listen, you know, I'm not doing so well right now, and do you mind if I just talk to you? Or even if you just say to them, do you mind if I just tell you, just to get it off my chest, so I'm not bottling everything up and it's all just in my head. Going to the doctor is probably one of the hardest things you can do, but the best thing that you can do for yourself, because it's like, no doctor, well, actually I say no doctor, there was one doctor I had who told me that I had nothing to be sad about, I had nothing to be upset about, I was 17, I was young, I didn't have any responsibilities, and that I basically wasn't allowed to have a mental illness. He was a dipshit, and I refused to go to a doctor for like another year after him because he was a piece of shit. Once you find a good doctor that you can trust and that you feel okay, like, I'd spoke to this doctor a couple of times about various different things, even just things like my joints, because I have like a couple of problems with my knees and that. And I thought, do you know what, I know she's nice, I know she's accepting about it, and I'm gonna like request to go to her. So I went by myself because I didn't want to have the pressure of having to say that in front of a family member and seeing their reaction of some of the things that I had to say, because although they know you think it, like, it's not as real until you genuinely say the words. Like, I think that was the first time that I'd actually said, I think I have depression, and I broke down mid-sentence. Like, she just literally threw the box of tissues at me and was like, shit. But she listened to me, she asked me questions, and, you know, she promised to get me help, and she did, and I'm so grateful for having a doctor that actually listened to me and getting help for myself. It just has literally changed my life. And probably the hardest thing that you'll ever do is the first time that you either get asked one of the like little questionnaire thingies, or you fill one out and you have to be honest and say, you know, that you have wanted to kill yourself. Writing it or saying it will really sort of make everything real and make you think like, shit, maybe I do need help. Like, because I always put it off because I thought, no, someone needs help more than I do. Someone else could be doing with that doctor's time. But it's not irrelevant, and it is something that people need help with. You can't, as much as you want to do it, you can't do it alone, and that is okay. There is nothing wrong with needing help and asking for help. Everyone is a human, you know. Well, I mean, apart from like fucking dogs and all that shit, but everyone who's probably watching this video is human, and it is okay to have help. It's okay to need help. It's okay to have to depend on someone else for a while. Like, you can't expect too much of yourself, especially when you do have a mental illness and you are sort of more vulnerable and different. everyone is going to cope with things different, but obviously with a mental illness that is just changes a lot of things. And the thing that I found was just sort of, I used to get hairpins and bend them so that they look like that. Can you see that? I don't know if the light's too bright. But I basically just pull off the safety bit at the end, and I would just use that just to like kind of as a saw. And so obviously at that time, every time I saw a clip or a pin or anything like that, I would associate it with self-harming, whereas now I bend them and I use them to mix my foundation. So now I see that type of thing and I don't instantly think of that, I think of just my foundation. Like, it just changes things because you're not seeing it and instantly thinking of a bad thing, you know? Like, on my arm, I have pretty good dint just there, and it goes from here all the way around. And I'd say that one and probably the one further down are probably the most prominent ones. But it's like, now I don't look at that and think of that thing. I look at that, I see my tattoo, and I know that it's something that I love, something I'm very passionate about, and that my brother got it for me. So now I see something that's very special and it doesn't give off any sort of negative connotations. Like, I see that and I see what I've overcome. I don't really know if I have anything else to say. I feel like I should pour syrup on this video because it's been nothing but fucking waffle. If you do have any questions in particular, feel free and ask. There's no such thing as TMI in my books. Ask away. But for the people who were asking for this video, I hope it helped. And I guess that's it. Bye.